Thanks, Brother Tim. What a crowd. I tell you that Kevin would love to be here tonight. As Tim says, he would have been the life of the party without a doubt. I think I'll get it next as well. I was so prepared, I left my glasses at the house after one of my wife's. So, you'll never notice. Yeah. So, thanks, Tim. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I'm going to read as well, because I don't think, when I'm using presentation styles to speak, use my instincts, today's a little different for me. I want to nail my message for you all, because Kevin was a brother to me. He's a brother to so many of us. So again, thank you for your time. I'll get through this in about 10 minutes. So first off, the introduction was great. My name is Terry Birdsell, and I have the honor of sharing my experiences and thoughts of growing up with Kevin, who has been one of my very best friends the last 37 years. Since our early high school days, through college and the era of growing up as early professionals living in Seattle, and living together and going on and finding the loves of our life, and raising our families, and frankly, right up until today. Kevin's been my best friend throughout the entire time. I'll admit, let me say a second here. Before I dive in, I want to thank the family and friends that organized today. This is absolutely beautiful. I am so thrilled and honored. The idea, the design of the outline too, I think it was Paul and Lisa and everybody here. The idea of having different loved ones from different phases and eras of Kevin's life speak today seems simple, but I find it fantastic. Some of you may say it's a common format for such an event, have different people throughout his life come up and speak, different eras. And while I agree, like I said, I look at it a bit differently. I agree with Tim. This is a celebration. I cannot wait to celebrate with you throughout the session and also later this evening. I think hearing the perspectives and memories of Kevin's other loved ones and his friends from different eras or points in his life should enable us all to leave today with our hearts full of the fondest memories of Kevin and his family. That's the goal today. And that's the goal, my goal, as I stand before you today. Today I bring Kevin to life, with all of you by sharing my perspective and some great stories, to give thanks to those that enabled me the opportunity to get to know Kevin, Judy, Sterling, Tim, throughout the majority of my life, and most importantly, my biggest goal again is to celebrate him. In that spirit, over the next 10 minutes or so, I hope to share some memories that enable you also to think back on your fondest memories and take the opportunity to celebrate as well. As tough as it may be, I believe Kevin wouldn't have wanted any other way. I say it's my honor to speak today, because I'm really representing a part of Kevin's life by design of the agenda, and representing the thoughts and prayers from a handful of Kevin's closest friends from across the decades that grew up with Kevin from grade and middle school and high school that I mentioned earlier, that lived with him after college, and spoke and texted him nearly every single day of the last 37 years. We still text and talk every day. It's amazing. Sometimes the connections and camaraderie between us is as simple as a text that says, "What's up?" right? To which Kevin always responds, "All good." Or some days when I need a friend, I can call Kevin. He'll set aside 30 minutes of his time, and I'll be able to share the trials and tribulations I'm going through, and our successes and whatnot. And Kevin always picks up the phone, every single time. Never, ever, ever lets me down. And Tim, to your point, what you were saying earlier, it's just the way it was. It's the way it was. But at any point I needed that, like I said, he would just pick up the phone. While I'm a bit at risk of leaving a few of our good buddies out that were part of that era of Kevin's life, I do want to ask a few of them to simply give a wave of recognition. Because some of these folks were with him since grade school. I met him in high school. I think it's well served. I specifically want to do it because I think that they'll be able to share more great memories with you later tonight in the lounge or whatever we may do later. So with that, I'll start with Pete Charleston. Just give a wave of hand, Pete, if you're out there somewhere. Pete Charleston from Arizona, one of Kevin's best buddies. Colin Williams, most of us know Colin. Vince DeRubis, where's Vinny? Vince, met him at Wazoo. Greg Nell, of course. Eric Swanson. Where's my buddy Brian Wade, who we call Earn Dog. Also Chuck Arlanders too, because Chuck's a great friend of Kevin's as well. I don't want to leave anybody out. I do want to ask you guys to take the time, introduce yourselves to them, and if you don't know them, because they can share some great stories about Kevin as well. Okay. When asked if I would speak today, I jumped at the chance. Absolutely, of course I'll speak. And the second I hung up the phone, reality set in. I thought I had to pull my car over, sit on the side of the road, and these fond memories started flowing through my body. And honestly, the emotions started to flood. I quickly began thinking, what the hell am I going to say that can represent the relationship that I have with Kevin, my best friend? Think of that. How would you ever encapsulate the comments to try to represent a friend I've had over 4 years? It's impossible. So I started panicking, of course. I got it in my head a bit. I've been in my head ever since until I stepped up on this mic. But most of it has been very cathartic and awesome, to be honest with you. I met with my mother and told her the same thing. I said, Mom, and she adored Kevin like he was one of her own. Judy, Sterling, thank you for allowing her to do that. Thanks. But she adored Kevin as if he was one of her own as well. I chatted with each of the brothers I just mentioned, and I asked my wife Jennifer, I just asked her advice. What should I say? What should I do? My wife's message was very, very clear and it resonated very well. She said, of all your friends, Terry, Kevin and I bonded the most through the years. Of all the Microsoft events in New Orleans and Atlanta, etc., you weren't there. All the family gatherings and all the times we've had on Queen Anne Hill, he had the biggest heart, and I always felt safe in those out-of-town Microsoft events when he was around. I love you, dear. She said, she continued, I knew he had my back because he always had yours. And that, to me, sunk in and made me feel comfortable coming up today. So I know Kevin's got my back. Hands down. Right? But it did hit home, and it's hitting home even as I say it again today. He truly always had my back. He had all of our backs. Every one of my closest friends I asked for assistance on or advice, they all echoed the same theme. I heard sentiments such as, Kevin had the biggest heart of any of your friends, quote unquote. The next one, Kevin led with Jesus in his soul and always did what was right for others. Another one, he loved his family and always put them before others before himself and others before himself. Another one, he was a leader in many ways within our close-knit crew of friends. He was a selfless leader. My favorite was this one though, and it goes to what Tim just said about his fierce competitiveness and being a true brother on the field and on the court. This one, he was a man of character and a warrior on the field and on the court, which he truly was. I'll tell a story in a second that makes that resonate with all of us, but he truly, these comments I heard from all my closest friends and family really resonated with me. And this theme continued over the last couple of weeks as the news of Kevin's passing went by. I've received over probably 50 to 100 text messages and phone calls from people from across the country. The theme of having a big heart and be a selfless leader has continued in each one of those conversations. It became more and more consistent as all of these friends contacted me as they shared their support of our loss of Kevin Michael Engman. And I was reminded that this is what he was known for. It was very simple. Being a caring, pragmatic leader who led by example and who people naturally rallied around. That was Kevin, and that goes right in tune with what Tim just said. He was a big man, and his biggest attribute was his heart, and his ability to lead by example through explicit kindness. I've witnessed Kevin become and be the life of numerous social and professional situations, naturally. Not by being braggadocious or being the big man on campus, which he could easily be if he wanted to, but by leading through thoughtfulness and kindness. To put it bluntly and simply, Kevin was super infectious, without a doubt. I think Paul, not the apostle, but Paul Hansen, who has also known Kevin for years, he said something to me the other day that really resonated as well. He said something along the lines of, I'm really looking forward to sharing memories of Kevin from when we were all younger. We all were hanging in our 20s and living in Seattle and whatnot, and we all were meeting Jennifer and Lisa and all her friends, which was a blessing to say the least. Thank you. He said, look, so many of our closest friends today know Kevin as the coach of our kids, a trusted neighbor, a supportive father, and the best person in the neighborhood to have beers with and watch football. And I said, I myself hearing this, I thought, wow. I just smiled inside and said, nothing's changed. That was Kevin when we were kids. It's just how he's always been. He's always been a trusted friend. I'll share a couple quick stories. I know I'm low on time. But there's one story you have to go with me on. There's a little bit of a journey of memory here. When I was a sophomore in college, I went to Washington State University after my first year playing football at the University of Puget Sound. And I joined the fraternity and I was a pledge. And I was just getting to know all the guys, Chuck and Vince and Doug Borneman, and all of us were in the fraternity that I was joining. And they had an annual softball tournament. It was our philanthropic efforts to support the city. It was our charity event. Hundreds of people would come in. It was a 3-day affair. There were teams from all over the state, uncles, fathers, brothers, all sorts of people would come into the city, into Pullman, Washington, so it was a coup. And I'll never forget, the final day, all the softball had been played. Maybe a couple teams still going out for the final games or whatever. And everybody was saying their goodbyes on the porch. Probably 30, 50 people on the porch. People I've never met before, some guys I just met and trying to become friends with, whatever. And they're all saying their goodbyes and packing their cars and bringing their cell phones. Again, 50 people. And I'm sitting on the bench, and here comes Kevin. Boom! He comes out the fraternity door. He kicks it open, he comes out. And everybody, I'm not joking, people that turn around and go, Engman, all right, hey, dude, great to meet you. Fantastic. And Kevin walks out, high five, chest bump. People I'm trying to become friends with. He had already become friends with. He's high-fiving, he's saying all his goodbyes, these people and hugs. He comes and says hugs to me. Bertie, love you, see you soon. And he turns around and he looks and he goes to everybody. And he says, love you guys all, see you next year. I'll never forget him doing that. And he got in a car, I think it was Enel's car. He shut the door and drove off like a rock star. And I was like, how does that happen? So I remember sitting on the bench and looking at Horace and like, yeah, that's Kevin. That's where he's always been. I'll never forget that story. There's a few others I could share, but I won't. But I won't. And there's actually a couple really good ones too for the football, so I'll hold off. But I would ask you to do one thing today, now, or whenever. Go to Kevin's Facebook page and pull up a post from August 1st, 2017, where Kevin wrote the following. 19 years ago, I had my third best day behind Jackson and Sam's births. All three involved my loving wife. I love you, Jen. That is Kevin in a nutshell. Summarizing it in 2 or 3 sentences. It's just fantastic. And if you have a chance to go check that out, please do. Before I close, I want to thank Judy and Sterling and Big Brother Tim. You all had a hand in raising our crew of riffraff boys from Bellingham that seemed to do fairly okay for ourselves. Sterling, your presence guided us, man. Whether it was in the locker room, on the sidelines, whatever it might have been, walking the halls, yelling at our coaches on our behalf. We appreciate it. You know what I'm talking about. And Tim, quite frankly, you are our idol on the court and on the mound. We loved watching you play, and then you were an idol to Kevin. And last but not least, there's really too much to say here. Judy, I truly believe you were the light in Kevin's eyes. And the one behind his biggest attribute, which is his heart. And I love you for that too. Ooh. Jennifer, I loved you since day one. We were all there when you met Kevin, and you told me since that day you were his #1 priority. And he left us thinking the same thing. He never wavered. And I almost was going to hold this back, but I have to say it. To Sam and Jackson. Sam, who's Jackson? Jackson, okay. Congratulations, guys, on having the spirit and the approach to life that I spoke for your father having. It's within you. You guys get the opportunity to live this life, and it's freaking awesome. So congratulations. He set a high bar, but I know you're going to exceed it and blow it away. You also have my support and support of our boys that your uncle talked about. We got your back. To everyone else, I hope in this short amount of time that I can help you appreciate, smile a little bit, and celebrate the guy we call Kevin Michael Engman. Thank you.